This podcast is supported by listeners on Patreon. Thanks to Mario, Hedwig, and Carlo for their support. It fills my heart with love and dice. Wait, that's not right. It should be blood. Someone send help.
Welcome to the Probably Bad Podcast, a podcast which is definitely bad. I'm Pencil.
Paper. Today's Probably Bad RPG idea is an angsty, obviously nefarious human warlock who seems to have a dark secret that torments him every day. But his secret is actually that he's a halfling. He made a pact with a demon just to be tall. That's it. That's his secret. That was submitted by Discount Nerd on Tumblr. The idea of characters with big scary secrets that are actually stuff like that is just inherently hilarious to me, and that's why I chose it.
I like the idea of just this as something as like a big mystery arc. You're tracking down this character and trying to learn their dark secret. You're going through all these like clues you're piecing together, and then in the end, it turns out they're just short. Yeah, I think the more kind of build up you have for the dark secrets, the better it is.
Yeah, like you've got to really lead into it as this giant, possibly terrifying thing.
Like, you could definitely, because my mind just jumped, this kind of standard, oh, it's a spooky town, and the townspeople are spooky, and you're looking around, and it's like, is it actually a cult? Is it possessed by demons, and so forth, and so forth. And in the end, it turns out that they're just weird. Weird Jim lives here.
Weird Jim.
Just weird Jim. He just wears a silly hat. They don't want you to see his silly hat, and that's why there's all the mystery and people hiding and so forth.
It's just the lengths that the town is going to hide Jim's hat from you.
Yes, because it's really ugly.
See, I was just thinking about, because there's the module Rhyme of the Frost Maiden, isn't there, where like your characters can have these big secrets that they have to keep from everyone. And I just like the idea of doing that, but having shit like pretends to be a tabaxi but is actually just a furry.
My mind just jumped to like a setting where the reveal is there are no tabaxi, it is all furries in deep cover.
I mean, I have definitely seen people pitching stuff for like there's no such thing as a human. It's all aliens trying to be human. Which I genuinely love as a concept.
I feel that would also work for like everyone's secret is they're not actually human, and they're all the same alien species, and they just don't know it.
I like that because that would feel to the, unlike the actually a halfling thing, it would feel to the player like this genuinely big secret.
Mm.
And then at some point it's revealed, and like to people outside of the party, it probably would be a big deal. But for the party themselves, it's probably just a bit of a disappointment.
But I feel like what you need to do is have one character have the opportunity to do a dramatic reveal, like, haha, I was a Martian all along. And then all the other players go around like dominoes, doing the same dramatic reveal.
It's me, Anastasia. I feel like a great way to do that as well would be like if they know each other. It's like, guys, I've got a secret. I'm not actually Kyle. I'm from Venus. Oh shit, Terry?
Everyone knows each other's alien selves and each other's human selves, but they haven't put the pieces together.
Just to really make the reveal as underwhelming as possible, you know?
Like, you just dramatically go, like, it is, yes, I'm yeah, either I'm an alien from the planet Venus and I'm here to conquer your world, and then the other player just stands up and is like, "Hey, you still owe me 20 Venus dollars," as their disguise comes off.
Venus dollars.
Venus dollars. I was gonna say normal dollars. I don't know if they wouldn't have those in Venus, and I don't want this to get unrealistic.
If you're all Venusian, would you call it Venus dollars or would you just call it dollars? What is the actual realistic way of putting it?
I mean, we call money Earth pound.
Yeah, but we're talking about dollars.
True. Yeah, I personally live my life exactly like I'm a character in a bad 50s prediction future. Welcome to my Earth house. I'm going to put on my Earth clothes and eat some Earth dinner.
But I do also love the implication that this character got the warlock powers just as a bonus. Like the warlock was like, oh, the patron was just like, okay, you sold your soul to me. I've made you tall. I feel like I've kind of got this is an unfair one-sided deal. I'm gonna give you magic powers as well.
I might be a literal demon, but even I feel this is maybe a bit too much of a scam. At least take an Eldritch Blast or something.
To be a demon, maybe it's just a fairy with a sense of sort of fair trades and things. Like, no, I'm giving you something else. No, I just wanted to be tall. No, I'm giving you magic powers whether you like it or not.
It's like, so you have the sort of trope of like an unwitting patron bargain in a lot of like campaigns. And this seems like the next step of like the patron just following you around going, look, you are now entitled to the ability to turn into a swarm of flies. Just take it.
You don't have to use it. Just take it. I feel like that voice was the patron is your mum trying to get you to put on a jumper. Like, you don't have to wear the mage armor. Just take it with you in case it gets stabby.
Your patron is your mum is a concept in its own right.
It's just Hercules.
Like, yeah, I mean, I feel like I'd like to imagine it's not in the sense of, you are born like, half demon or something. It's you're born normal, and then when you're like 15, your mum becomes an all powerful deity.
That'd be awkward, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and it's just, well, I was looking for a patron, and I guess my mum will do now.
A voice from the skies. Don't forget to clean your room.
Like, to be fair, in D&D campaigns where there often is the premise that humans can or humanoids can transcend to become divine beings, there is definitely some kind of campaign there in just your best mate is now supreme ruler of fire, and it's just everyone trying to continue to host parties when like four of them work as accountants and one of them is an elemental deity who could shatter stars.
I feel like the deity probably has the most free time, at least. Consider your patron is your wife.
There's a lot of questions there.
You gain an advantage to smite people if they make jokes about how much they hate their wives.
You gain advantages to smite people because you're already smitten.
Hey.
I swear myself went to like a kind of semi Beauty and the Beast thing where it's like this entity had all its power locked away until someone truly loved them and you married them and that releases their power and then it's just, well, but I'm happy to keep going on with the relationship.
See, I was thinking more along the lines of like like you fall in love with an archfey, not realizing what they are. You end up getting married, and then they're just like, okay, I feel like this relationship is a little one-sided, what with me being an archfey. So I'm gonna give you powers.
Like, as like just as like it's like just at like how like in our world it's like, oh, for wedding gift I'm just gonna give you a toaster or a coffee machine or something. In this one it's just if you don't know what to get them, just give them unimaginable cosmic powers. That always goes down well.
You realize you don't get each other wedding gifts, right?
I do, as I started saying, and now this just comes to the idea of your patron is like someone you don't hugely know, but you felt obligated to invite to your wedding, and they made a pact with you as just like a wedding gift.
Patron isn't your mum, your patron is your mother-in-law.
Yeah, your patron is like a distant cousin who doesn't really know you that well. I weirdly like this setting where patrons are just people who are going around. Like, you just awkwardly end up sitting next to your patron on the bus and making small talk.
I mean, isn't a warlock patron a kind of boss?
Yeah, I guess. Just all warlock campaigns set in an office. All of your patron is like your middle manager.
Don't you hate when you finally get a moment to yourself and your patron comes in and asks about the Johnson account?
Yeah. I really like this setting of patrons just small town, small office, your patrons just there. They keep tagging you in like weird memes on Facebook, and you don't want to not respond because they do give you cosmic powers.
Sorry, I was just trying to work out what the D&D version of Minions is. It's probably those weird little robots.
Yeah.
So I cannot for the life of me remember what they're called.
Modron?
Yes!
Yes.
Modron memes.
The dark secret that you actually have is that your patron won't stop sending you Modron memes.
Listeners, please send me Modron memes. I need this. So we've only got one question this week. So I think we're gonna do that question and then come to a second idea.
So this question is from Fistrix. How many objects should be mimics in a typical dungeon?
How many objects can you fit in a dungeon?
All the toilets.
Just the toilets.
Yes.
The sinks are fine.
All the toilets and only the toilets. But yeah, I think the obvious answer would be
Never come across a toilet in a dungeon crawl. Which is weird considering the amount of them that are like abandoned like wizard homes and stuff.
Yeah, before like about 10 years ago, wizards didn't need to shit.
See, I thought you were gonna go down the Harry Potter route where they just like disappear it, just shit in a bag of holding.
It's all the same bag of holding.
To the same pocket dimension.
It's a pretty shitty place to
Which
go.
is home to just one Dungbeetle having the time of its life.
It is Dungbeetle heaven. I feel like anyway, back to mimics rather than Dungbeetle heaven. I think the obvious like answer would be all of them. I think all but one door. And like it's said ahead of time, it's all but one door.
None of the objects, but all of the party members. It's basically a game of Granny's footsteps, where you have to get through the dungeon without being caught by any of the monsters. Do you call it Grandma's Footsteps? I've realised there's like a million different names for that game.
Which game is this?
The one where someone faces the wall and you have to creep up on them and they turn around.
Yeah, What's the Time, Mr. Wolf is the version I played. Which, yeah, it does sound slightly more like ominous for like being chased by monsters.
It depends what your grandma's like, I guess.
So your dungeon there is a corridor, and there's a wolf at one end, and your grandma at the other, and they're both mimics.
Inside you there are two wolves. One is your grandma.
But yeah, so I think the player's skins should be mimics.
The player's skin.
Yes.
So they're just meat people with mimics over the top.
Aren't we all just meat people with mimics over the top?
I prefer to think of myself as a ghost trapped within a meat suit, but go on.
But yeah, so like each of the players has had their skin replaced by a mimic, and they need to, and it's how long can it go without figuring this out.
Wait, how long can the person go, or how long can the mimic go?
Both.
I feel like we're getting into some real body horror stuff today.
Yeah, I don't think this is answering the question, but yes. Every toilet, all but one door, exactly 10 coins in the treasure. And your grandma.
I'm right in thinking that in some edition or other, dungeon mimics were a thing.
First edition I had dungeon mimics. It had a mimic that replaced the wall, a mimic that replaced the floor, and a mimic that replaced the ceiling. So you could walk in a room and have all four walls, the floor, and the ceiling immediately attack you.
I mean, that's a probably bad idea right there.
Yeah. Like, there were bed mimics, there were clothes mimics. Like, first edition went really hard on every random object in the room might kill you.
I like the idea of the clothes mimic, though.
Hmm.
Because it can't really do much without being noticed. Like, if you open up a jacket and it looks like a mouth inside, you've got to be really avant-garde to still put on that jacket. Like, this is just punishing the weird fashion people.
This is Jim's hat.
Jim's hat is a mimic.
Yeah. That's... I feel like Creepy Town with a mimic as, like, the dark secret word. But also it's too close to a good idea, so I guess we're going to have to make it someone's hat.
What if the mayor is a mimic? Or a mermic?
I lost the ability to talk in response to that pun, just so you know.
I've still got it. It's the 8th of November and we're all feeling some kind of way.
There certainly is an emotion. I think it's a mimic.
Definitely a mimic. That is the secret. There's no such thing as neurotransmitters. It's all just tiny mimics in your bloodstream.
So yeah, so the things in the dungeon that should be mimics are Jim's hat, every toilet, all but one door, people's skin, the party, and the party's capacity to feel joy. I hope that answers your question.
A wolf and a grandma.
Yes, and a wolf and a grandma. And a partridge in a pear tree.
Not the tree, though. It's a normal tree. Okay, so our second idea is, remember, Bigfoot is like salt for your campaign. No matter what your campaign is, you can't go wrong with having a Bigfoot walk into the scene.
So this was an idea I posted, and I completely stand by it. You know, you're having a tense political discussion, Game of Thrones style. Bigfoot walks in. You're in a dungeon. in a sealed room with no escape, Bigfoot walks in. You're hunting Bigfoot, Bigfoot walks in. I
I
feel it
love
just
the idea of Bigfoot joining a monster hunting party. It's like, because there's that story, isn't there, of the woman who joined her own search party.
yeah.
Just imagining that, except the search party have guns.
The monster hunting group is just a search party with guns. But yeah, Bigfoot would like. I do Bigfoot wearing like a fake mustache over its fur and just being like, "Yes, hello, it is me, Steve."
What if it shaves just where the mustache would be?
And then puts a fake mustache on there. I can't be Bigfoot. I have a mustache. Like, so the defining quality of a Bigfoot is, of course, its big feet.
Mhm.
Meaning, if it was going to try and hide among this search party, what it needs is clown shoes.
I don't
Which
like where this is going.
Which means, as long as the search party consists entirely of clowns, it can shave, paint itself white, put on a red nose, put on big clown shoes, and just pass itself off as a normal harmless clown.
I feel like there are easier ways for Bigfoot to disguise itself, because if it just gets like a grey belt and puts it on like a sash, that's a Star Wars cosplay. It's like, no, I'm not Bigfoot, I'm just a nerd.
So, here's the plot for the campaign. You have two groups. One group of clowns and one group of Star Wars nerds. And both of them have been infiltrated. One of them has been infiltrated by a Bigfoot. And you need to find out where that Bigfoot is.
Is this like a Honey Heist type mechanic where you've got 3 points in Star Wars and 3 points in clown,
Yeah.
and
And
you
one,
have to not get too nerdy or clownish in
yeah,
your
I feel
search for Bigfoot?
like, to be honest, I feel like my life is trying to walk the balance between being nerdy and clownish.
That is basically what this podcast is, I suppose.
But yeah, feel free to send your suggestions as to where we are on the clown nerd scale. Yeah. So yeah, the obvious thing about Bigfoot is you're trying to find Bigfoot. That is the whole thing. So I think like what you should do is at random points through your campaign, regardless of how high stakes the scene is, the players have to go find Bigfoot. Like, oh no, your children have been kidnapped by the demons, and you're like, okay, but first we need to go find Bigfoot.
What if you bring Bigfoot in the the starting tavern or wherever, and then it's just like, oh, there's Bigfoot. Now we can get on with our lives.
Yeah, Bigfoot, but he's just hanging around.
Bigfoot
Possibly.
is the proprietor of the local pet shop.
But yeah, I think that like I still think Bigfoot should be a clown, and I realize that's an opinion that needs validating, because as it is, it just sounds like a terrible idea. But you could
Yeah,
definitely
please expand on this. Like, you're walking in the woods and you just hear a honk,
yeah,
honk, honk,
like
and then suddenly you've been sprayed with seltzer.
firstly, that would probably inspire horror in quite a lot of players. You're walking through the woods chased by an invisible clown.
Actual clown Bigfoot.
Yeah, but so my idea was an Among Us style. You're all at a circus, and Bigfoot has infiltrated, or you're all or the circus is on a Bigfoot hunt, and Bigfoot has infiltrated.
Why is the circus on a Bigfoot hunt?
Okay, so the circus is low on money, And the only way they can think of to raise enough funds to keep the circus going is to go find evidence of Bigfoot. But Bigfoot obviously doesn't want evidence found of Bigfoot. Bigfoot has infiltrated and passed off as a clown. So they
Okay,
need
so
to.
Bigfoot's goal is to throw them off the scent.
Yeah. Whereas their goal is to figure out which of them is Bigfoot. Possibly by stepping on each other's clown shoes, because, if it's a clown, they've actually got normal sized feet in there. Whereas if it's a Bigfoot, their feet actually are that big. I think that's a plot point on The Simpsons, but point is,
Yeah.
I'm using it now.
His feet are so big because they're filled with evil. Except, obviously, Bigfoot's feet are filled with friendship.
But the point is, you need to find Bigfoot among the style. This does sort of imply Bigfoot will be killing the clowns. Or I guess could just be leading them to the wrong part of the forest, like away from the Bigfoot village. There's a Bigfoot village of big feet, and the clown's goal is to find the village, and the Bigfoot's goal is to lure them away from the village.
Again, though, this just sounds like a one-page RPG that I would play.
It sounds like a one-page RPG that I would make. Yeah. So, keep it
I
here.
do like the idea, though, of bringing Bigfoot into like a very sort of diplomacy-heavy game. It's being like, okay, we were going to go to war with you, but Bigfoot just stole the queen, so now we've got to deal with that.
Firstly, Bigfoot just stole the queen is my favourite plot hook. You can use it in your campaign regardless of what your campaign is. And also, so you have this sort of Game of Thrones style world. Do you want, we're all sitting here discussing plans, but oh no, Bigfoot has come in and started, beating people up or such have you, or we're all sitting here discussing our plans, and oh no, Bigfoot has come in, got the favour of the queen, and now owns your land.
See, I was imagining it as, in The Sound of Music, when one of the guys runs in onto the stage and is like, they've escaped! I was imagining that, except someone runs in and just shouts, Bigfoot's here!
We don't have the budget to show you Bigfoot, but
trust me when I say that he bundled up the queen and repelled down one of the towers and then rode away on some sort of magnificent beast into the woods.
Like, what you need to do is have your campaign, your political campaign, but make it increasingly obvious there's a second, far more exciting campaign involving Bigfoot riding a magnificent beast and stealing world leaders, happening just like after the players leave.
He's taking all the world leaders to the Bigfoot village.
Yeah.
So that they'll be forced to sit and talk to each other without all of the pomp and circumstance getting in the way.
Yeah. Bigfoot is going to bring about world.
And he's going to do it while dressed as a clown.
Yeah.
So that he can infiltrate the castles in the first place.
The jester is just, doing their standard jestery things, and then, boom, they take off their shoes, reveal their Bigfoot, grab the queen, jump astride a manticore, and fly away into the distance.
This is why you can't trust hairy jesters.
I feel we need that sort
well-known
of t-shirt.
expression.
Yeah, that's what my mum always used to say to me. You can't trust hairy jesters. So I think we've got at least 3 campaign ideas there.
Yeah. Speaking of t-shirts, we have new merch on our Redbubble store, redbubble.com/people/probablybad, including the logo but 80s and the reveal of Dean Daniels' true form.
For some reason you want to see Dean Daniels' face, we can't be held responsible for any curses that apply to you as a result of that. But you can now buy it.
Yeah, we also have a Patreon where you can access homebrew and bonus episodes. one of which will be us playing a Brian Blessed themed one shot.
It is an RPG called Brian Blessed is in Your Garden Somewhere, or something like that.
So if you want to listen to that, please give us some money. And if you have a question, you can send it to the Tumblr, Probably Bad RPG Ideas, or you can email probablybadpodcast@gmail.com. And whether or not you do, remember to have a
Probably
probably
bad
bad day.